Sometimes you just gotta make a bite. There he is. Look at that. Great big one. This spot's gotta have fish.
I got him. Good one, boy. Good one.
There we go.
Stop. Nice fish.
That did not take
Got him.
Got her.
Got her.
Got her. Nice. Came up and punched that thing, man.
Good one.
Whoa. Wow, that bass gear, that is nuts.
Some folks say they'd rather be lucky than good.
Oh, is that a pretty fish, huh? Look at that. Now that is a good start.
After all, nothing's better than being on a hot streak, like when fish are virtually jumping in the boat.
I just released a fish. I'm not even kidding you, man. This is the next cast after I just caught one.
Enjoy the bounty while it lasts, because things are bound to change. While all luck eventually runs out, learning to play the odds lasts a lifetime. Over the long haul, placing the advantages in your favor allows you to enjoy the peaks, ride out the lows, and come out ahead of the game. In fishing, we refer to those brief windows of opportunity where everything seems to go right as peak periods for success. These windows only open for limited times and can slam shut on a moment's notice. But when you recognize the opportunities they present, you can predict and take advantage of them.
That's a pack there. Boy, efficiency, no question about it for early season muskie fishing.
Changing environmental conditions set the stage for the onset of peak periods. When the time is right, fish instinctively recognize the opportunities to feed aggressively and successfully, and fishing suddenly goes from average to awesome. Some peak periods are short. For instance, walleye and panfish anglers play the odds and fish during the key daily hours spanning sunrise and sunset, when changing light levels give these species visual advantages over their prey.
Real pretty fish.
I might have to make another pass down that weed line a little bit, huh?
Muskie anglers like to take monthly advantage of the 3-day windows around both the full and dark moons, which are proven periods for trophy success. Today, on the edge, we target smallmouth bass in rivers as water levels recede from springtime highs into midsummer lows, when fish begin keying on rocky areas swept by current. Targeting the leading edge of the feeding flurry creates a perfect storm of positive conditions, culminating in big fish on the line.
Ooh, big fish, Al. Big fish. Here she comes. I'll get the net for you. Yeah.
Some might call it luck. Others call it experience, meaning seasonal opportunity, using topwater purrs, pops, and buzzes to generate peak period fishing success.
You okay? Yeah, I got her. Yeah, that's a good one, huh?
Closed captioning provided by Northwest Ontario, Canada. All lakes, rivers, and reservoirs see dramatic seasonal changes. Water levels, water clarity, availability and abundance of forage, combined with changing cover, are all a part of the angling puzzle. Peak periods are prime times when environmental conditions concentrate game fish.
Nice one. Pretty good one. Whoa. That's a big gal. That's a big one, Mac. You know, with this current, I prefer to net these fish, if you don't mind. Look at me. There's 3 more with it. 3 more with her. Nice fish. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh boy, she's a donkey.
A real good
Whoa,
fish.
whoa. Whoa, boy. Hang on.
Got her. There we go.
Okay, hang on. One thing I don't like about netting these suckers. There she goes.
Beautiful fish.
Yeah, look at the size of that sucker. Whoa, whoa. Mac, I know we made a right decision. Mac and I are doing something we really, really love to do. Chasing smallmouths, particularly in small rivers like we're on now. Let me be specific, small shallow rivers, middle of the day, and on a lot of these river systems like this all over the country, topwater fishing, which is our favorite way to catch smallmouth, absolute favorite way, can work all day long. Topping for smallmouth is as good as it gets. Now in the office today, Mac and I are the only ones there. Everybody else is gone. Everybody. Jimmy, let's see, Jimmy's fishing an FLW tournament out of Detroit. Ron is pre-fishing for a North American bass tournament. And Jeremy, Ryan, David, they're heading up to Northwest Ontario to go catch big giant lake trout and northern pike. And I know Hayner's chasing lake trout on Lake Superior. Danny's probably fishing for bluegills or crappie. That's his deal. Yeah, you know, I'm sitting in the office. I said to Mac, yeah, you know, what are we doing here? It's too nice of a day to be in the office. He says, let's go fishing. I didn't have to twist his arm or mine too long.
And it didn't take long for me to say yes when he said we were going topping shallow water rivers. It just doesn't get any better than that.
On the river we're fishing today, water levels can fluctuate 4 to 6 feet vertically throughout the season. This spring, with unusually high water, the smallmouth we're targeting migrated up clear water tributary rivers and a lot of backwater areas. Since then, the water levels have dropped dramatically and pulled the fish back into the main river channel. This spring, with high water, the main river looked like chocolate milk. Now we have at least 3-foot visibility. Current flow is another important element in this equation. Any good river rat knows stagnant water in a river is no good, no matter what you're fishing for. The fact is, moving water acts like a conveyor belt for predators, concentrating prey into focused locations and allowing them to feed more efficiently. So when you have low, relatively clear, moving water in a river, you have a recipe for fantastic topwater fishing for smallies.
But the key is that current. I mean, they've really opened up some gates to be moving some water through here, and that's really like a good thing and a bad thing. I got to move really, really fast.
Something else that's at work here, Al, is, you know, we had an unusual summer. We had very high water all summer. This river was pretty much unfishable until just a few weeks ago. And that's part of the reason of what's going on here. The river's down, all this stuff is finally blowing through. They need water to the south because they've been very dry, and I'm suspecting that's why they're letting it go. And bottom line is, this river hasn't been fished much, and it's nice to be opportunistic and get out here and take advantage of it, because these fish really haven't been fished. They have not seen many baits this year, and it's a good time to get out and take advantage of it. Got him?
Yeah, good one. Good one. Oh, really?
Ooh, big fish, Al. Big fish.
Here she comes.
I'll get the net for you.
Yeah, that's a must have in this deal.
Anytime you're in these rivers, boy, in this current, you just have to use the good old Frable.
Trying to stop her between the current, the fish, trying to get the boat control. When you get a big fish like that, it ain't easy to lip them.
But somebody's got to do it.
I've learned the hard way of trying to lift those fish alone, and seen a few mistakes that. Get him.
Got him.
Okay. Oh, don't let him shake if we can get lucky.
Got her?
I got her so far, Mac.
I'll get your pliers for you.
Okay, hang on.
Yep.
Watch it, Mac. You got the. Okay. Yeah. Look at that baby, huh? Nice. You know, of all of the topwater baits, the 4 major topwater baits that we're talking about for smallies, in current, in rivers like this, day in and day out, my money is on the prop bait. This little baby here, I have caught so many big fish on in current. It's my favorite bait for fishing in a river. Now, a lake is a little bit different story, you know, a lake or a reservoir. But smallmouth love this thing. You know, historically, if you go back into the history of fishing small rivers and streams like this, what was one of the all-time, those of you that are a little up in years, what was one of the all-time greatest smallmouth baits there was? Topwater bait. It was a little tiny torpedo, a single prop bait, small bait, kind of looked like a cigar with one little prop on the back. But the skidder prop, the action in this thing, bubbles, the way it looks underwater is incredible. It triggers fish like no other prop bait can in this current. I'm telling you, there's no question, and we do a lot of this. This bait gets their attention.
Feels like
I heard that fish all the way here.
It feels like a real nice fish, Al.
I'm going to hold you in this current here, just so I don't. Let me just hold this spot, Mac.
She's kind of got a mind of her own here.
Nice one.
Nice fish, very nice fish. All right. Just doesn't get any more exciting than this.
Another thing to keep in mind if you're fishing smallies like this in these rivers, these fish in these will get so shallow. I mean, water that's 10 inches deep will have fish in it. If they can get a little water over their head, they're comfortable. And you can get you can get your 4-pound bass often in water that's just barely covering their back.
Look at that baby. Isn't that a beautiful fish? Wow.
So I mean, get right on the bank, almost on those rocks. You know, there's other areas too in these shallow rivers. There's wood. Sometimes they're on the wood. Sometimes they're on the rocks. Sometimes on eelgrass flats. You know, sometimes you'll see them on all, like we've been today. We're catching fish on all. We're catching fish in wood. We're catching fish on the rocks. We're catching them over the flats. Sometimes you'll see a preference where they're all on rocks. Sometimes they're in the eelgrass.
Got him.
Sometimes a combination. So just pay attention
Not bad.
to where you're getting the bites.
Not bad.
Water level and current dictate how and where bass live and feed in rivers. Discover how bass go with the flow in River Bass, the Current Factor, part of our Angling Edge instructional DVD collection, available at anglingedge.com.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
You know, boat control is always a key to fishing success. And in small rivers like this, people tend, because the boat is smaller and lighter, to underpower that boat. Not only with the motor on the back, but the trolling motor. On this boat, I got a 101 Minn Kota Fortrex. Wouldn't go anywhere without it. I can hold in the fastest current with it on 60 to 70% and actually pull into the current. The biggest mistake I see regularly is underpowering the boat.
Minn Kota's 36-volt Fortrex 101 has the guts to go full strength all day long in big winds or fast current flows like we're battling today. Its lift assist design lets you quickly and easily raise and lower the motor to move across rocks, stumps, or sandbars that are always threats in shallow rivers. Hey, why fight your motor when you could be fighting fish instead?
Another reason for that powerful trolling motor, it can turn right into the wind. You know, so many times people underpower these things.
Minn Kota's new precision onboard battery chargers feature a microprocessor designed for faster, more efficient charging. They compensate for low line voltage, recognize battery types, and customize the charge to each battery. This helps extend battery life and ensures that you hit the water with a 100% reserve charge every time out. You'll never run out of juice again, even when you're fighting river current all day long.
Right away. Right on it, Mac.
Oh, that's a good one.
Shallow fish.
Want a net?
Oh, yeah, that's
a
gonna
good
be a
fish.
netter. Oh, man. Did you see that fish come off of that rock, boy? Oh,
Sure did.
that's a whopper stopper.
We'll net him.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. A leaper.
a leaper. I like it. I'm liking it, Mac. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Hang on. Got her?
Just about blew it for
Okay.
you.
Okay. Hang on.
There you go.
Look at this. How's that for a brown bass, huh? Right sitting on the face of those rocks, just sitting on the face of it. You know, out of these 4 main baits that we're talking about, like I said, for me in the rivers, a prop bait is really, really tough to beat. I got to get on this troll really quick.
There's a wide variety of baits that'll catch river smallmouths. One of my favorite techniques is topwater. The reasons are pretty obvious.
I got him, Mac. Big one, look at that.
Good fish?
Not a bad one.
All right.
Yeah, not a bad one.
Some of my topwater lures of choice are Rapala skitter prop and the X-Rap pop and a Terminator buzzbait. Each bait has its individual strengths based on cover conditions and the feeding mood of the fish. The skitter prop is a smaller profile prop bait I retrieve with intermediate rip and pauses. It's a great bait to cast along any current edges formed by weeds, wood, or isolated boulders. One really good way to skitter prop is to intermittently let the bait drift at the natural current speed.
That prop, this bait is so tuned that you just lay it in a current like this, and that's why those strikes when it's sitting still. Look, if you could look at that bait, see it sitting in a current there? It takes nothing to keep that bait going. So when you're casting and letting it slip drift, that prop is just constantly, it gurgles, it goes underwater, and it comes back up, and it just keeps turning. I'm telling you, the fish really, really like this thing.
The X-Rap pop is another good topwater option. It has a unique weight transfer system for long, accurate casts. The deep bass popping sound of the X-Rap pop will call fish from a distance. It's a great bait for calling fish out of weed flats or isolated log jams. Last but not least, a buzzbait. I use a 1/4 ounce Terminator buzzbait to quickly fan cast over large grass flats, shoreline banks, or isolated log jams. It's a great bait to cover a lot of water quick.
You know, and I want to say a little bit about our rods. This rod, like I said, I got heavy braid, happen to have braid on this one with the buzzbait. You don't have to be a lightweight fishing with this stuff. I got a Quantum XO reel and an 832 braid on one of our Lindner Angling Edge bait casting rods, medium heavy. And on the topwater rods, we're fishing a little bit lighter. On the popper rods, a little bit lighter of a rod in there. But our Angling Edge series rods, we designed a bunch of these for Quantum, for the kind of fishing that we like to do. Ooh,
It's moving a
some
little
fish back here, man. Some fish back here.
That one looks a little better.
A little bit better. A little bit better. I'm giving him no reprieve though. Yeah, that's a nicer one.
That's a nicer fish.
We're not fighting bad current here, so I can, you know, if you've got a small creek or river close to you, and many of you do, that live particularly up in the North Country or in the Midwest regions, there's loads of small creeks and rivers that have smallmouth bass like this. And one of the best presentations you could possibly use for much of the season is topwater baits. Props and pops, number 1 and number 2. And you're gonna have a ball a good portion of the time. Great way to spend an afternoon.
Hey, for more detailed information or to purchase any products you've seen on this show, go to lindermedia.com.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
Hey, I just read this morning, and I'd like to share it with you. It's in Believer's Voice of Victory magazine. The headline to the article is Living in God's Will. And the first sentence starts off, everyone who wants to be in the will of God, raise your hand. I'm sure most of you raised your hand. You'd want to be in the will of God. Goes on saying a few things, and it leads to this paragraph that I really enjoyed. It kind of capsulized a lot of things. It says, true, the will of God is complex. It's deep and wide. Its scope ranges from the monotonous to the grand. It is moment by moment, yet spans of eternity. It is unique to each individual person while embracing the whole of all creation. No particle of creation, whether spiritual or natural, is too small to escape having destiny and purpose. No entity is too grand it requires no direction of the Divine One. So it's not uncommon for the will of God to seem so complex that we're too intimidated to actually require ourselves to reach for it. Then it goes on. In all of its depth of complexities, following and accomplishing the will of God is as simple as trust and obey. It really is that simple. You know, I've spent a good portion of my life studying the Word of God. This particular Bible, by the way, is the chronological study Bible. If you've never been into the Word of God, you don't want to start with this Bible. You want to start with the King James or the Message Bible. A lot easier to understand. But this helps me get a little more into depth, and I've done my best to not only study it, but take so much of God's truth and apply it in my life, apply it in business philosophy, apply it in relationships. And it really is simple. Trust and obey is what it all boils down to, and you will see it work in your life. I promise you that. Trust, obey, put it to the test. Hey, from all of us here at The Edge, you have a good, safe fishing season. We'll see you in the water.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching. And if you really like what you see, we got a whole lot more. So check us out at any one of these online outlets.